Hey, hey, hey. Good evening, everyone. Come on in, come on in, come on in. I am Tiffany Devon. I am a certified coach and wardrobe stylist that styles leaders and influencers in fearless fashions. And I want to welcome you in today for another Silhouette of a Queen segment. This just in. Okay, you are in for a special treat for the next 4 weeks because I am starting a series called In Light of the Queen, a Black History Month series. So I wanted to pay homage to Black women over the course of time that have paved our country forward with their unique contributions to our culture and to society. And what better way to do that than during Black History Month? Listen, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. A lot of the rights that we have as women is because some woman back during her time refused to settle for the status quo. And so, because of their courageousness and their tenacity and their fight and their determination, we are walking in the level of freedom that we have been afforded today. So, that is worth celebrating all in itself. So, I just want to thank you guys for really tuning in tonight. I love it. I love it. I love it. God always is giving me these ideas behind the scenes. And so this is the first time through the Silhouette of a Queen segments that I will be going weekly for this month because there's so many fabulous women that I wanted to pay homage to. Like I can't even be able to do them all, but it was so hard to select the women that I am going to be featuring the next 4 weeks. So if you all keep sticking with me and rocking with me, we're going to see who these fabulous women are. So for those of you that are new to the Silhouette of a Queen segment, it is for a powerful and resilient woman who is yet to be seen, felt, or heard. And I created Silhouette of a Queen. So I'm about to tell you something. I am getting ready to share with you the premise in which Silhouette of a Queen, the vision first came to me was actually it came for me in 2017, and I wanted to roll it out during Black History Month, and it was going to be an annual thing that I would do, and I was going to get a hotel room and get and have like a panel of speakers, and I was going to feature Black women throughout the room to see share their stories of their unique contributions that they shared, right? And so last year in 2020, God tapped me on my shoulder and said, "No, I want you to do this virtual, and I want you to do it monthly, and I want it to be for every woman, not just Black women, but for every woman." And so he took my vision and made me stretch it even further. So, but the initial idea was to do it during Black History Month. And then I was going to throw in a little bit of self love in there because, it's Valentine's Day and everything like that. So that's where Silhouette of a Queen came from. So when you think of a silhouette, you think of a contour of an image, right? And when you see this contour and image, it does not have all of the facial features. So the silhouette is supposed to be representative of an image that is yet to be filled in. It is yet developing. And I believe as women, we are always developing, we are always evolving, and it doesn't matter where you are in the spectrum of life, whether you are emerging or established. Even as my established queens, we are still developing. And so we are still taking on this embodiment of a woman who is yet to be seen, felt, and heard because we're still becoming greater and greater. As the Bible says, we go from glory to glory. So, and I believe that it is time for us women to continue to take our rightful place because we have been called. We have so much of value to offer to the world. And so our time is now. And when you think of a crown is representing the responsibility and the weight that God charges us to be able to carry out the vision that He's given us. So each and every one of us has a unique calling, a unique gifting that only we can do. No one can do it for us. No one can beat you at you being you. I don't care if someone else is doing the same thing that you are doing. It is your unique personality. It is your unique way of how you show up in the world that gives it your own unique spin to it. So that's what this is about. All right. So before we get started tonight, I want to introduce to you a Black History Month fact. Okay. I want to share with you where the origin of Black History Month really came from. So actually in February of 1926, Carter G. Woodson started Negro History Week. And he did it from February 7th to February 14th. And it was his way of honoring the birthdays of Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln. Well, from that time, from February of 1926 up until 1976, it was called Negro History Week. And it was then that President Gerald Ford urged Americans to observe the holiday. And it then became Negro History Week and was changed to Black History Month. But in 1978, President Carter officially recognized Black History Month. So that is where Black History Month was originated as Negro History Week. Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and dive into the two queens tonight that I'm going to be talking about for Black History Month. But before we do, there are two terms that I want to bring to your attention that you're going to hear throughout not only just tonight, but over the next 3 weeks. And so I really want to break down what the meaning of an activist is. So an activist is a person who campaigns to bring about political or social change. And you will see a lot of activists in the area of media, arts and entertainment, family, religion, politics, and education, right? This is an individual that has decided that they are going to use their platform for greater good. They are going to give voice to things that concern our culture and our world today. And so they are not using their platform for just to gain notoriety, fame, or money. They are using their platform and their influence to bring light to social injustices. So that's what an activist is. An abolitionist is a person who favors the abolition and dismantling of a practice or institution, especially capital punishment, or formerly known as slavery. So these are the words that you're going to hear tonight as I share the stories of the two queens that I'm going to be featuring tonight. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's one moment while I get this set up here for you. One moment. All right, thank you for your patience as we get this up and going. All right. Okay. So welcome to the Black History Month in Light of the Queen series. All right. All right. So our first queen is Harriet Tubman. Now I know you guys are familiar with Harriet Tubman. She was born in March 1822 as Araminta Minty Ross. Later in life, she took on the first name Harriet after her mother, and Tubman was the last name of her husband. She led 70 people to freedom during the Underground Railroad. She was nicknamed Moses, and Harriet the movie was released in 2019. And she is most known for her quote that says, "I freed 1,000 slaves if I could have freed 1,000 more had they known they were not slaves." So Harriet Tubman was born enslaved in Dorchester County, Maryland, as Araminta Minty Ross. Tubman was beaten and whipped by her various masters as a child. As an adolescent, Tubman suffered a severe head injury when an overseer threw a 2-pound metal weight at another enslaved person who was attempting to flee, but it hit her instead. Bleeding and unconscious, she was returned to her owner's house and laid on the seat of a loom where she remained without medical care for 2 days. The injury caused dizziness, pain, and spells of hypersomnia, which occurred throughout her life. After her injury, Tubman began experiencing strange visions and vivid dreams, which she ascribes to premonitions from God. These spiritual experiences, combined with her Methodist upbringing, led her to become devoutly religious. Although Tubman was illiterate, she was told Bible stories by her mother. She rejected the teachings of the New Testament that urged slaves to be obedient and found guidance in the Old Testament tales of deliverance. This religious perspective informed her actions throughout her life, which eventually led her to lead the Underground Railroad. The turning point in Harriet's life was deciding if she would be sold to another plantation or take matters into her own hands and plan an escape. She was quoted as saying, "There was one or two things I had a right to: liberty or death. If I could not have one, I could have the other." She was an abolitionist and political activist. She would take on the name Harriet in honor of her late mother, who shared the same name, and Tubman was her husband's last name. Tubman escaped and subsequently made some 13 missions to rescue approximately 70 enslaved people, including family and friends, using the network of anti-slavery activists and safe houses known as the Underground Railroad. During the American Civil War, she served as an armed scout and spy for the Union Army. She was nicknamed Moses, alluding to the Moses in the Bible who led the Hebrews to freedom from captivity in Egypt, and much like she led so many slaves to freedom. She made such an impact in our culture that her life was inspired as a motion picture called Harriet that was released in 2019. On January 25th, 2021, the U.S. Treasury Department announced it would resume efforts to put Harriet Tubman on the front of the $20 bill. It's important our notes reflect the history and diversity of our country and the image of Harriet Tubman, a role model for leadership and participation in our democracy. Gracing the new $20 note would reflect that, said the Treasury Department in an emailed statement to Newsweek. Look at that. So when we think about Harriet Tubman's life, right, we can obviously see that she was a risk taker. She got tired of her situation and she changed it. So she decided, like she said, there was one or two things I had a right to: liberty or death. If I could not have one, I would have the other. So she decided that this was a life and death situation and she was no longer going to be a slave. So she took matters into her own hands. Can you imagine how risky that was for her? She could not read. She did not let her circumstances hold her back. And the pull was so strong on her to do that, she was ready to die for it. That says a lot to me. It says a lot to me about following the voice of God within you. Each and every one of us has an internal compass that God places in all of us for us to follow. And we can't look to anyone to our left or to our right as to how we should move. And I think the things that end up tripping us up a lot in life is that we oftentimes are trying to get other people's opinions about what God is telling us to do. And so Harriet, even though she had a lot of odds stacked against her, she did not allow those obstacles to hold her back. And so she made that decision that she was going to do this. And people were afraid. They did, that was unheard of. If you were a slave and you tried to escape a plantation, there was two things that was going to come out of that. You were either going to be murdered or you would be beaten so badly that you wouldn't do it again. But not Harriet. Harriet never lost a slave. Never lost a slave. That says a lot. Like, she was so focused on her mission, she oftentimes packed a pistol. And so for those slaves that were en route with her to this journey to freedom, when they got scared and they wanted to turn back, she would often pull that pistol out and say, "Oh no, either you're going to go with us or you're going to die here." And she was willing to kill them pretty much, because she was like, "Nope, you're not going to give up the rest of us." So that says a lot to me. That says a lot to me about the mentality, the warrior spirit that she had, that she never lost a battle. That said a lot to me. Now, I don't know what that says to you, but her life says a lot to me. So, all right. Okay, let's go on to featuring our next queen, Miss Maya Angelou. Miss Maya Angelou. All right. She was born as Marguerite Annie Johnson in April 4th, 1928. She was an American poet and she was a civil rights activist. She published 7 autobiographies, 3 books of essays, and several books of poetry. And Miss Maya Angelou, she has so many quotes. It was hard to choose just one. I quote her. I love her quotes. I'm often quoting her quotes. But the one I chose tonight is, "My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style." Miss Maya Angelou. When Maya was 3, her parents' marriage ended and her father sent her to live with his mother. At the age of 8, her father sent for her, as well as her brother, to move back with her mother in St. Louis. It was here that Maya was raped and sexually abused by her mother's boyfriend. She confided to her brother what happened, who then told other family members. He was jailed for 1 day, but for 4 days after his release, he was murdered. Maya became mute for almost 5 years. She believed that her voice had killed him and did not want her voice to be responsible for killing anyone else. It was during this time that she developed her love for books, her ability to listen and observe the world around her. She was sent back to live with her grandmother and credits her teacher and a friend of the family with helping her speak again. Early in her adult life, she was a dancer and a singer in nightclubs and went by the name Marguerite Johnson, or Rita. She eventually changed her name to Maya Angelou, her nickname, and former married surname. In 1969, she published "I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings," which detailed the rape and trauma that she endured as a young girl, along with her journey to self acceptance, discovery, and self confidence. She rose to prominence through her many contributions to the literary world, one of them being the poem Phenomenal Woman. And it goes like this: "Pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. But when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say, it's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenally, phenomenal woman. That's me. I'll walk into a room just as cool as you please, into a man that fellows stand or fall down on their knees. Then they swarm around me, a hive of honeybees. I say, it's the fire in my eyes and the flash of my teeth, the swing in my waist and the joy in my feet. I'm a woman, phenomenally, phenomenal woman. That's me. Men themselves have wondered what they see in me. They try so much, but they can't touch my inner mystery. When I try to show them, they say they still can't see. I say it's in the arch of my back, the sun of my smile, the ride of my breast, the grace of my style. I'm a woman, phenomenally phenomenal woman. That's me. Now you understand just why my head's not bowed. I don't shout or jump about or have to talk real loud. When you see me passing, it ought to make you proud. I say it's in the click of my heels, the bend of my hair, the palm of my hand, the need for my care. Because I'm a woman, phenomenally, phenomenal woman. That's me. Can we give a two snap for Maya Angelou, poet Maya Angelou? I remember this this poem actually when I was growing up here, and it was one of those poems that was often, oftentimes recited. And Maya Angelou is just one of those women. She is a phenomenal woman, and I'm just reminded so much about her life. I think as women, we go through various things like that, and we go through abuse, and we go through such degradation, and we think these are the things that count us out as women that we can't bounce back from. But when I look at the history of our ancestors and the women that have paved a way for us to be where we are, they went through a lot. They experienced a lot of trauma, but they were determined to not let what they went through be the focal point of how they endured life. And what I enjoy and admire so much about a story like Maya Angelou is that her life shows me that it's never too late to speak up and release your truth. Because when you speak up and release your truth, there's a level of freedom that you can walk into. And it doesn't matter whether you decide to do that at 35, 45, 55, 65. It's about just owning who you are and knowing that when the Bible says there is nothing new under the sun, truly that's what it means. There is nothing new under the sun. And so we can't allow what we think we've been through to be so shameful to feel like we can't talk about it to anyone. Because here is a woman that was sexually abused by her uncle, and she stopped talking for 5 years. That's a long time. She was a mute. And although I didn't read it here in her bio tonight, but it was her one of her grandmothers that always had the faith that she would speak up. She would speak over her life and say, "Oh, you're going to do great things. One of these days, you're going to be able to sit before kings and queens." And literally, that's what Maya Angelou has done. There is a level of, like I said, freedom that comes when you decide to walk in your level of truth. And her beginning of her life, although it looked horrific, it did not reflect the ending of her life. I'm often reminded just from even thinking about that, how the Bible says your latter days shall be greater than your former days, right? Because we can look at our lives and see that we didn't have a great start. We may have came from a two-parent home. We may have came from abuse. We've Whatever the case may be, don't let what you've gone through think that is the end. It's what you do with what's left over. And so I hope this her life inspires you tonight to understand the riches of where we actually come from as women, and especially as Black women. We come from a lot of fighters. Like, we are fighters, and we are fighters. And so this is the great thing about Black History Month, is that we get to pay homage to women that have paved the way for us to be where we are. Like, it's because of them we're still standing. And it doesn't matter that they've had a crawl to get here. We are here because they stood. So, in light of the Queen series, thank you for joining me tonight. Of course, I'm going to be back next week. But before I go, I want to highlight a book tonight that I want you guys to go out and support. It is my friend is one of the co-authors in this book, and this book is called Black Women Speak Out: Stories of Racial Injustice in America. And it's written by 25 other co-authors, and each woman shares their own story of racial injustice that they've experienced in our country. And so this is a really, really, really good book to pick up. And so if you are interested in this book, you can privately message Striving in Sisterhood, the business page on Facebook, and reach out to her to get this book, and she will give you all the details on how to purchase this book from her. But again, like I said, Striving in Sisterhood, and the author, Laval Ezel, she is featured with 24 other co-authors in this book. So you'll want to pick this up and show some support for Black History Month, okay? All right. So again, thank you guys for coming in tonight. And I will be back next week, same time, same place. Silhouette of a Queen, in Light of the Queen, a Black History Month series. Again, I am Tiffany Devon. I am a certified life coach and wardrobe stylist, and I style leaders and influencers in fearless fashions. And I am rocking my Black History shirt today with Ida, Maya, Fannie Lou, Harriet, and Sojourner Truth. Okay. All right. So you guys have a good night. Meet me back here in the same spot. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hit that notification button so you don't miss out. Turn those notifications on. Click like, subscribe, share, do what you got to do so you don't miss any more. Okay. All right. You all have a good night. Peace.